Good evening, everybody. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live in Value City Arena here following Purdue's 71-69 win at number 24 Ohio State. I'm in the press conference room, not on the floor, and you might be wondering why. You're probably not, but if you are, it's because the cleanup crew out there that is tearing the entire ensemble down is playing Taylor Swift music. It's not that I have anything against Taylor Swift. I happen to like Taylor Swift, actually. It's YouTube's copyright crawlers that I don't think are fans, and I don't want to post this video on YouTube and then get dinged. So here I am in the press conference room. Once again, this is your wrap video following number 1 Purdue's 71-69 win over number 24 Ohio State. Just a really gutsy win for Purdue, I thought. Another important developmental experience, I think, for this, continually evolving Purdue team that's now facing a very different sort of college basketball environment now that they're in the Big Ten play. I think this is the sort of game that can sort of be the opposite of the Rutgers game, where I think you can benefit from, losing a game like they lost to Rutgers, and you can benefit from, surviving one like Purdue survived one here. And the two things might go hand in hand. Maybe if Purdue, beats Rutgers the other day, maybe this one goes the other way. So you could look at this like a one or the other type of deal. Nevertheless, just a really good win for Purdue. A game in which they did a really good job executing offensively and defensively at the end of the game, and kind of getting out of the way and letting Ohio State sort of throw it away, which Ohio State's playing a lot of new and young guys too, and that's going to happen to teams in these situations. It did not happen to Purdue. It happened to Ohio State on their home floor. That turnover there against Purdue's relatively tepid press, and give Matt Painter a lot of credit too for that, for putting Caleb First, who's more mobile obviously than Ross-Ade, in the game there to apply a little bit of backcourt pressure and contribute to that turnover where Ohio State, I don't know if I'd say they just threw it away or if Ethan Morton saw it coming. Either way, a bad play by Ohio State, a good play by Ethan Morton, and a good call by Matt Painter. But I think this was, a really gutsy win, and one that is defined by something I've talked about all season here, and that's the nature of these freshmen. They're not typical freshmen. Both of them in different ways were not very good against Rutgers. Fletcher Lawyer's not very goodness extended into the first half of this game. And Braden Smith for 40 minutes was awesome. And Fletcher Lawyer for the final 20 of this game was awesome. Both of these guys, if they were typical freshmen, their confidence might have waned. They might not have wanted the ball in the situations where they wanted the ball. And there were stretches in this game where Braden Smith flat out, he kind of took things over, took command of this game. He's had a knack for doing that here and there throughout this season. Was really good all around in this game. Fletcher Lawyer, 2 games in a row now, he makes a potential game-winning 3 during a season in which he's not shooting as well as he'd like to be shooting. That is the consummation, or whatever word, that is the consummate example of the cliche of, shooters are like kickers. In football, they have to have a short memory, and Fletcher Lawyer was part of Purdue's 0 for 7 start from three-point range, an issue that at some point in time they're going to have to get past, because if they just make some threes early in games, everything that comes after might unfold a little bit differently. This was a great example of that, because Purdue finally opens the floodgates from three-point range, starts making shots, 6 of 8 there at the end of the first half, which was unlike anything we've seen in weeks, if not months. Purdue ended up making a season-high 13 three-pointers, one more than they made against Milwaukee in the season opener. And hey, what a coincidence. As soon as Purdue starts making threes, Ross-Ade gets going, and he has, I think, 12 of his 16 points or something like that after halftime. It's not a coincidence. That's been the secret sauce here that Purdue hasn't been able to put on its sandwich here lately. God, that's a really, really good analogy. it's just as simple as making threes. And when you can't make threes, they're going to triple and quadruple, and I don't even know what the word for five guys is. I keep calling it box and none. But they're going to sell out to stop Ade. And you have seen a very different offensive infrastructure for Purdue here in Big Ten play than you did during non-conference play. That's part of that is because the defenses are better, the coaches are better, the players are better and bigger and better suited to handle traditional size. But also, they're able to pull some of this kind of junk defense stuff because Purdue's not making them pay from three-point range. You got a really good glimpse tonight, and whether it's sustainable or not, that's for the next game to decide, the game after that, so on and so forth. If this is sustainable, you just got a good look at what Purdue's capable of when it makes threes. It made a lot of threes tonight. It made a lot of threes in a short period of time. When you look at the 0 for 7 start, and then they finished 13 to 31, you guys can do the math there. At least I hope you can do the math, because I'll be damned if I'm going to do it on a whim here and get it wrong and go viral. Just a really good win for Purdue, a really telling win about Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith, but also Zach Ade. I think that, and Matt Painter mentioned this before I could write it, but Zach Eady's making good basketball plays in situations where the court of public opinion tends to want best players to force up shots or take the shot regardless. It's kind of one of the silly arguments First Take and them have had about LeBron James over the years, where when he makes a good basketball play at the end of a game and gets a great shot for a teammate, that's a better play than him forcing up a bad shot. But just because his name is LeBron James, people want him taking the shot. That's bad basketball. Zach Ade could just turn around, truck somebody, and hope he doesn't get called for an offensive foul, or throw up a longer than ideal hook shot in some of these situations. That wouldn't be the worst option in the world. And a lot of people would say, at least Purdue went down with the ball in the hands of its best player, but he's made really good decisions. He's done a good job manipulating defenses and getting great looks for teammates. The look for Fletcher Lawyer tonight was ideal. The look for Brandon Newman was good against Rutgers. And that's a credit to Zach Ade. That's a credit for his ability to kind of slow the game down in big moments and see things clearly and make good decisions. So kudos to Zach Ade, as if he needs more of them this season. I thought Purdue overcame a bunch of stuff in this game, and that's really, really significant too. Ideally, you'd like to get to a point where some of these things you have to overcome get better. But I think Purdue being unfazed by that dreadful start from three was significant. I think Purdue winning despite, again, turning the ball over way too much, and turning the ball over way too much in bunches, as they did in the second half. That was very last yearish, again, from Purdue for the second game in a row, which is not ideal. Them overcoming that, I think, is significant. And, Purdue still has a long way to go as a basketball team, if you ask me. I think they got a lot of improvement left ahead of them. And if you're a Purdue partisan, that should be exciting because, Purdue is, 14-1? What the hell's that record? 14-1, 3-1 in the Big Ten. And you still have a pretty high ceiling here. I think Purdue ought to take a lot of confidence from this game. I think Purdue ought to take a lot of confidence from the fact that this was validation that they can shoot the basketball, that this is not a 29% three-point shooting team at its core, that it's more like a 37 to 38 probably when taking the right shots. They should be confident. I don't know if Purdue's confidence waned at all, but when you look at guys like Ethan Morton and maybe Fletcher Lawyer to a certain extent, David Jenkins, some of the slumps that those guys were in, you do have to kind of wonder about that sometimes. Are guys shooting with confidence, or are they just wishing the ball into the basket? I think this game, and I know Ethan Morton was only 2 for 7, but for him to make a couple of them, and every point mattered in this game, so every shot was a big shot, I think that mattered as well. I think, obviously when we're talking about things you overcame in this game. I will be very surprised if we see another game this season where Ethan Morton and Fletcher Loyer combined for 8 turnovers. That is extremely uncharacteristic and unlikely to ever happen again, if you ask me. Purdue played through some weird stuff here. They gave up another, really consequential three-pointer that was, if I recall correctly, contested fairly well. It was kind of a prayer. I thought the shot clock was at like 5 or something like that, and he just got one up and he made it. They could have hung their heads there. Instead, they come back and they execute perfectly on the ensuing offensive possession with the game on the line. And here you are with another marquee win for a team that already might have the best resume in college basketball. This is going to be a quad 1 win no matter what. Almost every road win in the Big Ten against somebody who plays in sneakers is going to be a quad 1 win. And Ohio State, they are young, they are new, but Bryce Sensabaugh can play. Zed Key, I assume, will be back. Did that matter in this outcome? I'm sure it did in some capacity, but it's not like Ohio State didn't get offensive rebounds without him. They got a lot of offensive rebounds. They had a lot of offensive matchups that they rubbed raw. Another thing that Purdue really overcame is Ohio State's ability to go small and use Justice Suing and Sensabaugh to I'm saying that right, Sensabaugh, right? I keep wanting to say Sensodyne. What is Sensodyne? That's like some sort of medicated powder or something, I believe. Anyway, those versatile multi-tool forwards are really good players, and Purdue's bigger front court, bigger at the 4 mainly, I think was really had its hands full guarding those guys, and that was another thing Purdue overcame to get this really good win for Purdue. I'm sitting here, I'm staring at Bruce Springsteen, Steve Van Zandt, and Nils Lofgren from the Springsteen concert that I was at many years ago, I believe, here in this building. And I'm realizing that I forgot once again to mention at the top the Purdue Union Club Hotel, our sponsor for these silly little videos. We appreciate their support as always. That's what I've got from Value City Arena, the Schottenstein Center, whatever they call this place nowadays. I think it's both. Anyway, from Ohio State. How about that? This is Brian Neubert from goldenblack.com following Purdue's 71-69 win at Ohio State. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials, however you process our materials. Now I'm going to go back to the media room, walk past Neil Diamond here, and head back to my hotel. So thanks, everybody.